fans of the Horus Heresy, the ongoing development of the Age of Darkness, and listening to the thoughts of your favourite fromage-named creator, thank you very much for joining me for a video. This is a video where I'm responding to a question that was put to me in the comment section. I just forget which video. It's sometime over last week. And the question, and whoever posed it, thank you very much, goes thus. Can I make a video sharing my current thoughts on the state of a Horus Heresy by Forgeworld, part of Games Workshop? So I'm going to try do that in this video. So the last couple of years obviously have been a bit of a tumultuous time in the world of the heresy, and this is greatly linked to the untimely and very sad passing away of the late great Alan Bligh, who was the principal writer of the game side of the Age of Darkness. That really did disrupt production of new materials. Other things have happened. Forgeworld Studio has been restructured and influenced by corporate decisions at a Games Workshop level. So it's a complex mix, and I also know that I think over the last year as well, Forgeworld has relocated the position of its studio at the Games Workshop site. So they've been through a period of change linked to that as well. So that's a lot to take in while you're still producing products. What do I think of the Heresy? No, well, I think it's brilliant. I've got a massive stack of projects to do with stuff I've bought and stuff I've not yet bought, and ideas for new projects. I've got, let me think, how many armies do I have? I have a Loyalist Mechanicum army. I have another group of Mechanicum who will probably end up as Dark Mechanicum. I have a Solar Auxilia army. I have a Iron Hands army, which you know. I have a Word Bearers army I'm working on, and I have the models purchased, probably 95% of what I need, for a Black Shields army as well. So when I look at my personal hobby, there's absolutely loads, and that's even before I get into making videos and other content, and I really enjoy it. I love the modelling, I love the models. I kept myself very lucky to be around at a time when what is, in my opinion, the best supported science fiction war game ever in terms of its model range. And if you look at what Forgeworld produces for the Heresy, the number of models is absolutely massive. If you were to make a list of all the different kits they sell, it's huge. I just put on a list of new models that have been released over the last year. So yeah, there's lots of stuff coming out, and there's been some really interesting, pleasant surprises. The whole Dark Angels range, I think, is great, absolutely on point. The Lionel Johnson sculpt looks absolutely mint. And while I don't collect Dark Angels myself, I appreciate the design that's gone into that miniature, and the overwhelming majority of Dark Angels fans I do speak with, they are really looking forward to that model. And some people who aren't, who just see it for the great model it is. On the flip side to that, some models have been taken out of production, and I've talked about before at length, but basically the current paradigm is some models are going to get taken out of production every year if they're not selling well enough. So if you or I are a modeler and there's something that Forgeworld made and we like it and we're kind of like, maybe I'll get that, and you got the funds to do it, but you're just kind of sitting on the fence, well, buy it. You know, if you don't use it, you might lose it. You know, while it sucks to see Forgeworld withdraw stuff, they're not doing it maliciously. They're doing it as part of a program of commercial performance originating high up in Games Workshop, you know, like the board level. And they're a big business. In excess of £250 million they turned over last year. That's massive. And that's just going to be a reality of it. So remember that. If you don't use it, you might lose it. The Castellum Stronghold recently went out of production, and it went out and I thought, oh, I wanted one of those. And I felt a bit glum about it for a bit. But then I kind of like thought to myself, look, Leaky, you've been wanting one of those for like at least 2 years. You've got the money in your bank account. Why didn't you just get off your butt and buy it? So yeah, it sucks I didn't get that. But at the same time, you know, I've got to kind of like look a bit introspectively as well and say, well, you could have bought it. You know, there's a personal responsibility angle to this as well. It's not all about saying Forgeworld are taking away our lovely models. That's something I think we need to bear in mind. Just moving on to the direction of Heresy. So lots of cool models over the last year have come out. There's more coming. We've got the Jagatai Khan to look forward to, which I think is going to be an exciting miniature. So I imagine he will be supplied in some way his jet bike, I hope, and he could well be a Lehman Russ-stroke Magnus grade model in terms of its complexity and realisation. I think that'll be quite an interesting piece to look forward to. And then, of course, we've got Book 9 Crusade. So don't know much about Book 9 Crusade, apart from it's going to be focused on the Dark Angels. and the Thramas Crusade, so it will have a lot about the Night Lords as well. The Dark Mechanicum isn't going to be in it, as originally said. It's going to be moved into presumably book 10 or maybe later. So in my mind, if they're going to produce a 250 to 300 page book, they're going to need some new stuff that we've not seen about yet, because one faction is quite difficult to hang a book on. I mean, even book 4 Conquest had the Knight armies as well as the Solar Auxilia. There's a question in my mind as to, well, okay, Dark Angels and what? And we also know on the back of that there are some new Night Lords miniatures to come along, such as those faction-specific Terminators that I just can't quite remember the name of off the top of my head right now. So I think there's things there that we haven't heard about yet. That's my gut feeling. The other thing that comes out of this is a conversation that I had with, it was either the lead Forge World writer, and I do apologise to him, so I can't remember his name right now, or Anuj, who I think is like his number 2. And this conversation was either at the 2019 Horus Heresy Weekend or Warhammer Fest 2019. They basically said, in terms of the Heresy, it's going to be a long-term project, but what's happened is the release schedule and development schedule has been flattened right down. So it's going to be a slower burner than it's been in the past. And I think all of us Heresy players, if you've not already done this, you need to reevaluate your perception of the releases around this game, because it's not going to be the same frenetic pace of the first, say, 4 years. It's going to be a bit somewhat slower now. I still believe it will be supported. It is 40k historical, and I think it's part of GW's long-term product strategy to have 40k like modern, Age of Sigmar modern, and then they're going to have 40k historical, which is Horus Heresy, and then Age of Sigmar or Warhammer Fantasy historical, which is going to be the upcoming Old World. So I think all of these are part of a larger strategy on GW's part to have different product lines to cater for different customer types. I think that's how that is going to work. So that is my view on how that part of the game is going to work. The Heresy is going to be around for a long time, but the release rate will not be as quick as those first few years. So yeah, that's something to bear in mind. I think that once Book 9 is out, there is an opportunity for the writing team to revisit the Legiones Astartes army list, do a balance sweep on that, and also do a comprehensive Legions book, which will then become, in effect, the Great Crusade stroke early to mid Horus Heresy Legion army resource book. And I think that'd be an obvious product to develop next once Book 9 is out. Because with Book 9, we will have all of the rules for the 18 legions at the end of Great Crusade, start the Heresy, and arguably moving into the midpoint of the Heresy. That would be a great thing to see, I think. And it would give them a chance to catch, to roll up some of the ideas from the 2019 errata to a more established structure. In terms of stories, I suppose I need to touch on the story bit, don't I? Although it's not really the game, the Black Library bit. So the Black Library moved on to the Siege of Terror. And I guess they've got a 4-5 year head start on Forge World with the Age of Darkness game. So I'd imagine that the Heresy will ultimately follow that path and move from the Horus Heresy phase of the storyline into the Siege of Terror phase. If we work with the assumption that the Black Library novels lead the way from a lore perspective, then the Heresy game, Age of Darkness, will follow in due course eventually. Although with that, I think they'll still keep the Heresy range going because it's all part of the continuum, all part of the whole. I think we'll see a consolidation and move towards a kind of standard product offering per legion. Eventually, they'll do a Leviathan Dreadnought, a Contemptor Dreadnought for every legion in specific heraldry. They will have their Primarch and maybe 3 to 4 legion-specific units. Taking the example of the Iron Hands, that would be their Gorgon Terminators and the Medusan Immortals. Looking to the Word Bearers, and I'm actually looking at some beautifully painted examples of these across the desk at the moment. Their Galvorbach or their Ashen Circles. So I think that's kind of like going to be a template that will generally underpin this product long term. And then in addition to that, we have the Mechanicum and the Solar Auxilia. I think the Mechanicum, that's a great range. I really like the Solar Auxilia as well. The Solar Auxilia is always going to be a niche army, I think, because it's expensive to collect because you need a lot of models for it, and resin miniatures cost more than plastic ones. I mean, the Solar Auxilia range is now relatively small and it's quite focused on its core units. So it's one of those things, again, use it or lose it. As long as people continue to buy it, they'll continue to make it. It really is as simple as that. But, that is a range that is always going to be more niche just because of the economics of owning it. But I think that's my general view. I mean, I love the Heresy. I really enjoy gaming it. I enjoy the background. I enjoy the rules. Everything about it I do enjoy. If you follow me, you know that I point the good things out, and when I see things that aren't so good, I do criticise those. So take a balanced view, but don't at any time think that I'm not happy with it overall, because the exact opposite is true. I'm very happy with it indeed. And I think at times all of those who actually enjoying the Heresy and play it and collect it at whatever scale, I think it's good to take a step back at times and just remember how much stuff we have got and appreciate that, because I do think it's remarkable. And if I try to look elsewhere for something comparable, it simply doesn't exist. And that is what GW's as a whole, its great strength, isn't it? They create really good IP and all the products that flow from that, those creative ideas. I think that's my general feelings about the state of Heresy at the moment. I've seen a lot of negative attitudes towards Games Workshop and Forge World over the last few months when I've been more active again on YouTube because of the coronavirus lockdown. I have noticed that there is a certain undertow in the comments from some people, and not from everyone. And to all those people who like to talk really good hobby and lore and whatnot and modelling in the comment section, I'm not referring to you at all. I love our conversations, but I have noticed that, and I think that's a useful thing to just reflect on and, think about your hobby, because this is your hobby. This is my hobby. I don't do it to complain and moan. I do it to have fun, enjoy, and relax. There you go. My thoughts on the Horus Heresy as of July 2020. I hope you found that an interesting discussion. If you've got any polite comments, as usual, I would like to hear them in the reply section. But other than that, I'd just like to say thank you very much for watching. I'll speak to you next time, and goodbye.